up, and I bet you they've been 90% right the whole time. And going forwards, I think they probably will be quite useful for things. I mean, I've certainly seen a couple of the UK TikTokers today and yesterday talking about this suitcase that was found. Was it a Bristol Bridge or something with body parts in it?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm hoping that the ITV slant will be positive towards these armchair detectives, if that's what you want to call them. But you know, who knows? They might slant it in a very negative way. But I don't know. I mean, they've come out now and said that they think that he may have been in Lucy's room, so they've gone and searched that. And you know, it changes from day to day to day to day to day. But
I think in terms of searching Lucy's apartment, I think that happened after they had searched the Airbnb, and that is because the Guardia Civil had received a tip-off that Jay Slater had been seen in the area. And I think what they were essentially doing was trying to collect DNA from the apartment. But quite obviously, Jay Slater had not been in that apartment when this tip-off was supposedly come in. So essentially, they did not find anything in her apartment.
Yeah, it's just crazy, isn't it? Have you heard that the mum has come back to the UK yet?
There is a lot of information. There's certain things that we can't speak about, but there is quite a bit going on that the family have returned. I mean, a lot of people are saying the whole family's returned to the United Kingdom, which simply isn't true.
Yeah, well, I was going to say that to you because I've got somebody that lives out in Tenerife who's been messaging me for about a week now, and this person messaged me yesterday saying that they saw the mum and one other person near the hotel and one of the supermarkets. So they were saying, you know, if there's any stories coming out that they've come back to the UK, that's not true because they saw them yesterday. I think Brad's come back, hasn't he?
Brad has come back. Brandon has come back. I think it's safe to say the friends have all returned to the United Kingdom. I mean, quite obviously they were going to have to return at some point. I mean, they've been there for, you know, almost 3 weeks, and, you know, they did have to return at some point. But obviously, with regards to the family, I mean, they simply can't return, can they? And they're not going to return. I mean, one of the things that the family did mention a lot earlier on was, you know, they're simply not going to return to the United Kingdom without Jay.
Yeah, which is what the response for any parent would be, wouldn't it? Really? I mean, they've been very quiet. The dad seems to have been a little bit more vocal over the last couple of days, doesn't he? I mean, he seems to be convinced that there is a third party involved.
Father, I mean, obviously, Nick, you know, men and women, they're quite different, aren't they?
Yeah.
More grounded, they're a bit more level-headed. Obviously, we're hearing a lot more noise from Warren himself, simply because the mum can't do it, because everybody just seems to tear, you know, the rest of them apart. Warren and brothers been active, Zach. They've been active looking for Jay and been quite active in terms of speaking to the press and giving regular updates. In terms of the information that he gives to us, I mean, he's pretty on point, if I'm honest. Everything that he's told the press, the statements that he's given to the press, they are all 100% the truth.
And what have we heard anything from these other two guys that were out there, the Rapids guy and Chris, is his name Christopher? Because they seemed to be all over it a week ago, and I haven't seen anything from them. And then you obviously hear rumours and, you know, mistruths and Chinese whispers and somebody's been arrested and whatever, but I've not seen much from them recently. Have you heard anything about what they're doing still, or?
I think Paul Arnott, he's been pretty quiet for a couple of days now.
Yeah.
I mean, Christopher, he's been pretty quiet for a couple of days. I think, I mean, if we go based upon the update that Mark Williams gave today, I mean, he did specifically mention that, you know, he'd like for everybody to give their information over to him in terms of the areas that have been searched. Now, I do. I mean, the information that I do have is that Paul hasn't given any information with regards to the searches. I'm quite unsure as to why that is.
Yeah. It doesn't make sense, does it?
No, not at all. I mean, obviously, if there's been areas which have been searched, obviously they're going to be they're going to be paying a special team of experts to help with the search. And obviously in August, we know we've got the event coming up where they're going to have, the dogs out, and, that's going to help a lot. And, if everybody gave the information, it can all be, cross-referenced in terms of what's been searched, what hasn't been searched. But I mean, I'm not sure why this information isn't being given. I mean, what's your take on that?
I don't really know, because I only started posting about this a couple of weeks ago, and I've obviously seen, like everybody, a lot of his videos, and I thought what a great job he was making. And then I've started seeing he's been getting loads of hate and people calling him out for this and that and the other. And so, I try not to get involved in all of that side of social media, because, everybody gets some sort of hate when you get to a certain level. But I don't know. It just seems as though he was everywhere for the first 2 weeks, and now he's really just gone very, very quiet. I don't know whether he's been scared off, whether he's given up hope, whether he's heard something, and along the lines of, Jay's not out here. He has been spotted on another side of the island or whatever it is, and he's just thinking, well, there's really no point in me making 10, 15 videos a day when I know, or I've been told with decent authority, that maybe I'm wasting my time. And possibly similar with Christopher. I keep hearing that Monday is going to be a big announcement from various different sources. So I don't know what that is. Have you heard anything like that? I keep getting...
we get regular updates in terms of what's happening, and there's a lot of information that we can't actually disclose before.
Yes.
You know how that goes. We're limited in terms of what we can and can't say. I mean, obviously you probably see from our page. I mean, I don't think you've been following us from the start, but a lot of our information that we have released, a couple of times we've released it before the papers, before the press has released it. We were quite active in that sense, but we're still also very, very let me think, what's the best way to put it. There's a lot of things that we can't disclose until we can't put it out into the public domain until we're given permission to do so.
Substantial news on it.
I haven't heard
is
anything
Monday
about
looking like a day when we're going to get a big update, or you can't even talk about that?
We've not heard anything about Monday. Today was one of the major ones. I mean, obviously we posted about that about 5 days ago, that we are going to be providing a major update today. Obviously we did also put it out on that post that should the information be released officially, then obviously that no longer applies. Now this morning Mark Williams-Thomas gave everybody an update. So that's kind of out of the door now, because we weren't supposed to be, we put it down that we would do it at 10 o'clock. That gives everybody sufficient time. But obviously Mark Williams has given everybody an update himself. Let's have a look what they're saying in the comments. Let's have a look. I think a lot of people are asking for Haley to...
What did you make about this? What do you make about this Mark Thomas Williams' statements? He seems to say an awful lot without saying anything to me.
There's two things that we can derive from Mark's statement today. One of the main and significant things are, there's a significant reason as to why Jay left the Airbnb, why he left so quickly, and why he was not able to return there.
Yeah.
That is one of the main things, and I think essentially that is, it's, I mean, the best way to put it is it's what's kind of steered Jay to make the decisions that he made that morning. So that is the driving force behind it. The second thing that we can derive from Mark's update is, there's other information that's come to light in terms of, items that Jay may have had with him. Again, that's another significant update in this. And, a lot of it all, if we put it into context, the Airbnb is the driving force behind the events of what led to Jay Slater, walking and, disappearing in the mountains.
I think that's what everybody said right from the start. It's strange, isn't it, how if you go back to the timeline and listen to what people were saying very, very early on, we've almost come full circle. You started off with there was a watch involved, there was a theft, there was an Airbnb, Jay left. Did he steal it from there? Was he trying to sell it there? And then you have all of these other conspiracy theories that started to take hold, and that changed the narrative to drug mules and Moroccans and boats and all of this. And now it seems as though it's coming back round to what everybody initially was saying. So I think maybe going back to some of those initial posts that people were making, especially in the Facebook groups and things like that, and sifting through those, and you'll probably get a little bit more information out now you're along those lines of, because what do you think about this Johnny Vegas thing? That people are now saying that that's Brandon.
No, that's not.
You don't think so?
No.
No.
That's 100% fact.
100% fact?
Yes, that is not who Johnny Vegas is. Nick, are you still there?
They can't hear us, Keats. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Now I can, yes.
Yeah, it was just connected to my Wi-Fi. I'm back home now.
Okay.
Yeah, so the Johnny Vegas thing, I mean, I heard the name Johnny Vegas from, I think family members were talking about it very early on. And then that kind of went away. And then people found this guy on Facebook or Instagram. And then the thing is, I'm not entirely sure why this Mark guy is saying that Ayub is Johnny Vegas. I don't think that's true. I don't think anybody thinks that's true. Now, that kind of made me wonder, why is Mark saying this? Maybe he's right.
I think with regards to the statement that Mark released about Johnny Vegas being Ayub, I think he derived that from his interview with Ayub himself. There's a lot of question marks, in the public domain in terms of who Johnny Vegas is, but it's not Brandon. And people haven't been entirely transparent with the truth in their statements and interviews with Mark. And I think Mark knows that as well.
Wow.
So,
loads of people in the comments are saying this is fake.
Sorry?
Loads of people in the comments saying this is fake, blah, 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 blah. What does that mean?
What's fake? They were saying you were fake. They were saying you're not Nick.
I'm definitely Nick.
You're just going to get. Let's have a look. What's fake? Just people want to tell us who they refer to or what they're referring to as fake. They're saying it's nothing to do with.
Oh, people are saying it's not me. Probably because there's about 250 fake Nick Rose accounts.
Okay, let's have a look. They're saying me. You know what, Nick? We've received. I mean, we've got a lot of people who have been following us from day one, who will actually verify that a lot of our information that we've released to the public. I mean, obviously, as I mentioned before, it was a lot earlier than the press releasing the information. And I mean, if people want to say that we're fake, then they're more than welcome to do that. But you know, the people who've been following us from day one, they legitimately know, you know, the type of information that we have released when we've released it. So, you know, it doesn't really kind of affect us in terms of what people say. I think people are requesting for Hayley to join, but I think Hayley's commented that she didn't want to join because Hayley has also said not family. I don't know what they're referring to there. Nick hasn't been shadow banned for fraud. What does that even mean? What does that even mean?
Social media.
It's Nick, it's actually so funny because one of the things that we released was when Ayub's photograph, when everybody was speaking about the two lads in the Airbnb, we had that information like a week before that. When I say a week, I think it was about 5 days before the public got to know about Ayub and Johnny Vegas, and what we did want to do was we did want to release that, but because Mark Williams gave them an opportunity to come forward, obviously we're not here to hinder an investigation, and we're certainly not going to be doing that. So we didn't release it, but we did kind of put out comments in the comment section on various posts, and we did make indirect reference to their backgrounds to let them know that, look, we do know who you are, even though, Mark William Thomas, he can't get information from the Guardia Civil, but, we certainly have no restrictions in terms of putting that information out. We did put a lot of information like that in the comment section, and lo and behold, a couple of days later, they did come forward, and then obviously the photographs were put out, and we put out a post as well in that regard. So Ayub saying he's Johnny Vegas does. It's quite a difficult one because there's a lot of things that we can't openly say, but I think essentially if the second person's identity is disclosed and it is put out into the public domain, people will be able to kind of join the dots much easier.
Do you know
at
who
the moment,
person?
it's like a game of hide and seek, isn't it? It's like trying to join the dots. You've got a lot of pieces that are missing. There's big gaps in certain statements. Things don't seem to be adding up.
Do you know the identity of the second person that was in the Airbnb?
We do, yes.
You do. You know the name and you know the who it was.
We do, yes.
When do you think this information is going to be in the public domain? It's not up to us to put that information into the public domain. I mean, Mark Williams, he's still investigating, isn't he? And what we certainly don't want to do is, obviously with social media, how all these theories and conspiracies have come out, and they're essentially affecting the investigation, isn't it? And what we don't want to do is kind of put more pressure on them and force them to put this out into the public domain, and then they're going to have to do other things to kind of counter all this noise from the public and social media, which is certainly something that we're not going to be doing. I think once Mark Williams kind of gives us, gives the public and everybody else some information, I think from that point onwards we'll be in a better position
to talk about the second person. But as it stands at the moment, it's not something that I think we can do right now, because we just don't want to add any, we just don't. I mean, we're supposed to be supporting them. We're not here to hinder them. We're here for the family of Jay Slater. Anything that we can do that will help them to kind of keep the noise on social media down, and dispel all the theories and conspiracies. I mean, that's our role. That is what we're here to do. And everything that we've posted on our page, it has all been factual information. There's not one single thing that you'll find on our page that hasn't been factual, and that's simply to dispel the theories and conspiracies. It's not to say that, for example, Nick, I've looked at quite a lot of your posts, and you've had a lot of information that's been sent in to you, and you've openly kind of discussed what information has been sent into you. But what you haven't done is, made up these wild conspiracies and theories about, what's happened and what hasn't happened. Or this could have happened, that could have happened, It just because it adds to the upset, doesn't it? And, the families certainly don't want to be, seeing that. They don't want to be hearing it.
Of course not. Would you say, so have you got a direct link into Mark then? Have you got an active line of communication open with him?
Still, Olivia, when I say we, there's three of us. I'm just one of the people that are, doing the live. I was kind of just picked out of a hat, you can go, you can do it. I was like, right, okay, that's fine. I'm happy to do it. I've never done it. I've never been live before. I didn't even know how TikTok worked until a month ago. So yes.
So once Mark comes out,
Nick,
with
in
some
terms
more...
of, one of the.
Go on.
We missed that, Nick. You kind of broke up a little bit.
So what I was basically saying was, will Mark come out with the information first, and then you'll be the next ones to come out with it, or is there sort of a hierarchy of when the information gets put out there?
We normally do it a day before.
You'll do it a day before him?
If there's information that we know is going to be put out into the public domain, then we'll try our best to try do it first. We normally put a time on it in terms of when we know everybody else is going to be doing it. Just as an example, for argument's sake, last Friday we were supposed to be putting out on the Monday we put out a post to say that we're going to be disclosing a key fact which is going to be posted about on Friday. Now, that thing that we wrote on the post was, one of the key leads that the Guardia Civil are looking into, one of the theories that they're looking into. Now, we posted that on Monday, and we were hoping that on Friday at 7 o'clock we would be able to kind of, put that out into the public domain. But what happened was at 4 o'clock, I believe, or 3 o'clock, the newspapers released the lead, and the lead was one of the key theories that are currently being investigated by the Guardia Civil are that Jay Slater's mobile phone was potentially thrown into the bushes. But because the press had released it, then obviously our post no longer applied. I mean, we were supposed to release it on Friday at 7 o'clock, but, the press, they released it at, I think it was about 3 o'clock. So it's if we're able to, and providing the situation allows us to, then we certainly will try our best to try post as soon as we have the information. But obviously, as I said before, we can't always do that, because obviously we don't want to hinder an ongoing investigation, and we certainly don't want to add any more pressure to the family and friends.
So what pieces of information? Because I've not looked at your account really before. Obviously, since you've messaged me, what information have you been able to put out that was sort of then deemed as being factually correct before any of this, then came out onto TikTok or whatever it was?
I think one of the things. Well, when I say one of the things, there's quite a lot. Practically everything that we've put on, we've like, posted that we're going to post it at a certain time. But the press have released it. Ayub's identity, for example, we had that as soon as he was spoken with. We had his photograph, we had his details, his background, we had all the information about him. And we did put out a post that we would be releasing the identity. I mean, obviously, once Mark Williams had given that update when he was in Tenerife, and he did give them an opportunity to come forward. I think it was the next day that we put out a post, and we did mention in the comments that, look, obviously we know how TikTok is like a wildfire, isn't it? You put something out in the public domain, and before hundreds, thousands of people are like, sharing it, liking it, commenting on it, and before everybody's talking about it. And we know for a fact this information is going to get back to Ayub at that point in time. And what we didn't do was we didn't put his photograph out. What we did, however, do is put out a number of comments in the comment section of our post to say, just giving small hints in terms of his background. We put in, Malta. That was one of the things related to Jonathan and Thunder. We put out little hints. To let them know that, look, we're kind of gearing towards putting, your photographs out. Now, the best thing for him to do is to come forward. That was one of the things. The second thing was the lead about the phone being thrown. That was released on the Friday. We put out a post the Monday before, which is 5 days before, to let people know that we are going to be, putting this key theory and the key lead out into the public domain on Friday. But obviously, the press had already released it about 3 or 4 hours before. I think. The interview that Mark Thomas did, a lot of it was a redacted interview. A lot of it was taken out. Only, I think it was about 15 minutes. Which was shown to the public. We obviously had the full interview. When we posted that, we also posted that, we are going to be disclosing some further key information a bit later in the evening. And then I think it was about 9 o'clock, the full interview was put out into the public domain. So essentially, more or less, everything that we've put out on our page is always being pre-planned. Unless it's a last minute thing and we've had to make a decision on the spot in terms of whether we're going to put it out. We've put something out and then we've got a call, take that, we need to take it down. Some people have seen it, we've taken it down straight away. Some people have messaged why this, why that. One of the key things that we mentioned a lot earlier on in our posts was people are saying that there was no CCTV, there was no proof of Jay going into the mountains. But what a lot of the public do not know is there is proof that Jay went into the mountains. Because if there was
what proof is that then? What's the, because I've not seen any compelling footage of Jay anywhere near the B&B. I'm not convinced that photograph in the car was him. But like I say, you sound like you're a lot closer to this case than I am. What actual factual evidence is there that he was even anywhere near the B&B?
How can I put it now? Put it one way, Nick. If they didn't have sufficient evidence to say that Jay was in the mountains, they certainly would not still be looking in the mountains.
But they're not looking in the mountains now.
They are still. The family, there's a private team of experts. They're still searching the mountains because there is sufficient evidence to say that that is where he went. and that's not the information that they're going based on. The evidential information that they're going based upon hasn't been put out into the public domain.
But
people might have likely.
Have you been given the actual evidence to suggest that he would have been out there, whether that be CCTV footage or locations from their phone or something like that? But so what you're saying is you've got access to this, but it's not been put out yet.
It's not something that we can comment on.
So is your TikTok channel your only page, or do you have like a Facebook account or something like that?
No, it's just TikTok.
Just your TikTok.
The reason why we just chose TikTok was because, a lot of the theories and conspiracies that are coming out, it's all coming from TikTok, isn't it? I mean, there was the main page for the family was on Facebook. That is essentially where they started, and that's kind of like where they've remained. But TikTok kind of like it's like a wildfire, wasn't it, when this all started? And the reason why we chose TikTok as the platform is basically to dispel all the theories and conspiracies, and to allow the family to have a bit of a breather. To kind of dispel the theories and conspiracies. A lot of people are, saying this happened, that happened, and it's all coming from TikTok. And, it's upsetting, it's distressing. This is primarily the reason why we chose TikTok as our platform, because everything was just basically coming from TikTok. And I think, we need to stay grounded for the family and friends and the investigators and everybody else, and kind of dispel the theories and conspiracies that are flying about. Tell me something, Nick. I have a question for you. What's your opinion? I mean, obviously we've got quite a lot of people watching this live. Tell me what your opinion in terms of the CCTV of the beach, and the voices of who were apparently Lucy saying something about about Jay being stabbed, and no please Jay, no please, or something. I mean I listened to it, so I can't say exactly word for word what Lucy has apparently said, or apparently Lucy, it was apparently. So what's your take on that?
I made a video about it the other day. I've been on TikTok now for a couple of years, and I can remember probably a year ago now, there was these videos that were doing the round where there was a sound, and depending on what words were above it, that's what you heard. So I think it was something like green beetle and something else. And when you just listened to the sound on its own, you couldn't make out what it was saying. But then when the word above it said green beetle or big needle or something, you heard that. Now, a lot of those CCTV footages that I've seen, they've got superimposed over them the words that people think it is. So I've seen one where it says...
You're breaking up, Nick.
Sorry. Wi-Fi's okay. And when you hear the CCTV footage with the words over it saying, oh, you've been stabbed or something like that, it does sound like that. But I've also seen it where somebody said... it was a crab.
Nick, you're breaking up, so I can't quite make out everything that you're saying.
Really? It looks like I got full Wi-Fi. Any good?
Oh, okay, now I can hear you.
Is that better?
Yes, that's better.
I'm outside now.
Yeah.
Okay. So when I've looked at these videos with somebody's interpretation of, oh, Jay, you've been stabbed, it does sound like that. But then I've seen people writing over the top of it, it looks like a crab or something along those lines. So I don't think they're conclusive, but equally, I don't even think they've even been confirmed as being that group of people, are they? I mean, it could have been anybody. So I think this is the problem with it. I think some people have a narrative in their head, and they will just make the evidence fit towards that narrative. So somebody that really believes that it was them, there's nothing you can do to argue against it. And people the other way around, there's nothing that you can do to argue against that. So I've always I always think the truth's somewhere in the middle of everything. I think people say there's two sides to every story. I think there's three. There's that person's side, and then the truth is somewhere in the middle. So I've not really took much notice of those videos, really, if I'm being honest with you, because it could be anything. And, you know, you've got a 14-year-old.
Okay, I mean, obviously, we've got quite a lot of people that are watching the live.
Say again?
I think, I mean, because we've got quite a lot of people that are watching it, I think that's one of the key things that, you know, one of the things that I did want to kind of like, you know, discuss. That video is fake. Okay, so when I say video, the CCTV itself, I mean, the footage itself is real, but the voices that have been added onto that CCTV footage is false. It's not real. You know, that simply did not happen. That is not Lucy.
People are asking me to get you to add somebody called No Face in here. I've watched a few of his videos. He's got a really good take on a lot of these things. I don't know how. Is he there?
Let me have a look.
No face, no case, or something like that. People have been messaging me. I actually like a lot of his videos.
So should we add him? We've got Little Miss Vodka here as well. So should we add both of them?
Get them both in.
Okay, just give me a second. So Little Miss Vodka and No Face, we're going to be adding you into this live. So just give me a second. Let me have a look. Accept. Okay, so we got No Face. I don't know who No Face is. This is the first time I've come across him. So just give me a second.
Really decent account.
I'm totally new to this, so I'm trying to like. Okay, and Nick, I actually did not know that we can actually go live without a video. I mean, this is the reason why I've got it pointed at the ceiling. I didn't know that we could go live without offense. Yeah, being here. How do I do that? How do I turn this camera off? So the video isn't on.
I think if you just click the tile.
Right, yeah.
It'll come up, and then I think you can. There's a camera and then a microphone. If you tap the camera, it should turn it off or on, toggled.
Okay, so I've got the camera and like a square box, but I've got no microphone.
Can I just ask 2 questions quickly?
Oh, hi, Miss.
Hello. So I just wanted to know, can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
So, Jay Slater missing official, I have 2 questions.
Hi, have you both joined?
Hello.
Hi, I can hear you.
I've got 2 questions.
We're just waiting for no case to speak. It is showing that join.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, got you, bro.
Right. First off, can I just ask how old you are?
Me, I'm 36.
How old? So I can hear
I'm 36.
a little bit vodka, you're echoing.
Am I?
Yeah.
Is it me echoing?
As soon as you mute, I'm fine. See, nothing, I can hear myself. How old are you, Jay Slater?
I'm 36.
You don't sound 36. Oh, the echo's back.
Guys, can I just ask a question before I leave? I'm going to leave quickly. Jay Slater.
Yes.
So, 2 questions. How come it says official in your name? And second question is, why are you faking your accent?
I'm not faking my accent. This is how I talk.
Right, I'm just going to tell you all now, right? This Jay Slater official sounds... Oh, Little Miss Vodka, can you just mute a minute while I talk, please? Thank you. This Jay Slater official account sounds like a 15-year-old girl behind it that's talking absolute waffle. There's no factual evidence to anything they've said or anything a lot of us say, because nobody's been told anything.
I agree.
Because nobody's been told shit. This account is literally just here to try and build followers and to try and gain gifts from it. Don't gift me, please, people. Do not gift me while I'm in here at all. Just don't gift me. But I'm dropping anyway. If you want to entertain a 15-year-old, just go ahead. But I'm telling you now, If they want to prove they're not, tell them to come on the screen. Like Little Miss Vodka said, they're quite clearly fucking going through 5 different accents, trying to hide their voice and everything like that. Don't entertain this shit and don't listen to anything that's coming from. If you want to listen to anybody, in my opinion, go and listen to
Okay,
the
Nick, I think what we're going to do is we're going to let these two go because it's...
You need to stop chatting shit, babe. See you later. Stop with your fake accents and stop pretending to be...
Okay, so I don't know what happened there. Let me just see if we can get Nick back. Well, that escalated quite quickly. It surely did. I mean, me and Nick were having a quite good conversation before that. Trying to see where Nick has gone.